The Deep Six. 6 stories from your world in 30 minutes or less. Hosted by Patty Steele and Steve Cochran. The Deep Six is on.
Well, this is exciting. We're back with another episode of The Deep Six. Hello to you, Patty Steele.
Hello to you, Steve Cochran.
Patty Steele's in New York, where she does the morning show each day with Scott Shannon on CBS FM. I am in Chicago, where I host the podcast live from my office. And together, a couple of old friends like us, and by old, I mean friends for a long time, not old. We do the Deep Six. 6 stories that we think you'll find interesting, our spin on them, and then you go out and talk about them and enjoy your day. Look, we've got to start, right? With Adele, don't we?
Oh, of course we have to start. We have to start and end with Adele, but let's just start.
The Deep Six. Story number 1.
And the rain is blowing in your face, and the whole world is on your case. I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love.
Adele, in the Adele Oprah interview was to me lesser than the concert, an amazing setting. Oh. If you haven't seen it for some reason over the past few days since it aired on CBS, it was at the observatory above the 405 in LA.
The Griffith Observatory.
Location. Yeah, the Griffith Observatory. Beautiful night. Just a fantastic setting. But can I ask you a couple of fashion questions?
I'm first going to say, though, you can stream it still on Paramount Plus. So make sure you can.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah, please ask the fashion questions.
I don't wear dresses because I just don't look as good in them as I used to. That thing she was wearing, was that a mermaid dress?
Yes, that's that gorgeous black mermaid dress, which interestingly, everybody in my house was pointing out that why is one of her shoulders bigger than the other? It was the style. It gave it this kind of like dramatic look because one shoulder went up higher around the side of her head than the other one did. But it's funny because she talked about that dress. She said, I hate this dress because I can't sit down in it. It's
I was going to ask, are they as uncomfortable to wear as they appear to be?
Yes, they are. But you look fabulous in them. You know, especially if you have a body like that, because she's all about the curves. You know, she has a beautiful waistline now after 100-pound weight loss. And she exercises like 22 hours a day. And that dress just hugged her perfectly.
So what I'm saying is to be able to sing like that with the gift she was given, but to be able to perform like that, well, she's clearly in fashion pain, I think makes her even more amazing. Plus, she had those gigantic earrings on. What was the deal with those?
We were obsessed with that because her earlobes were hanging down almost to the bottom of her face because these things, they're the planet Saturn. There's obviously 2 of them, as opposed to in the solar system where there's 1.
What?
And yeah, and she has a tattoo of Saturn. And so I kind of looked it up to figure out exactly what that was all about. And it's called the Saturn return. When you're born, if you are into astrology, Saturn is at a certain point in the sky when you're born, and it takes close to 30 years for it to come back around to be at that same point. And so every 30 years in your life, you have your Saturn return and things are supposed to shake up. And she talked about the fact that she was 30 years old and that her Saturn return came at the time where she just realized, I love my husband. I love my little boy, but I am not in love with my husband and I don't want to live that life. And she decided, but she said it so distressed her. She didn't know what to do with herself. So she said, I just started exercising to just get it out. And then she went on this thing called a SIRT diet, SIRT, which, by the way, includes red wine. So what the heck?
Hey.
And she wound up losing 100 pounds. And she said, and I'm not going to tell you I'll never gain it back, because she said, I'm not obsessed with body image. She said that was kind of a sidebar to what I was going through. She said, she was talking about divorcing herself in this album because she wanted to be a happier, more trusting person and have relationships in which she was open to trust and open to just loving and being loved, instead of always assuming, as soon as someone declared their love for her, always assuming, she said, that, okay, at some point here, you're going to screw around with me. And she would like step away from them when they exhibited love. And she didn't want that to be the case. And I loved her talking about her music. She said, I have always had trouble expressing my emotions, so it comes from my music. And Oprah said to her, so you don't even know where all that comes from, the depth of your song? She said, no, I don't know where it comes from. It's a revelation to me too. I'm really not as deep as my music.
I liked her more than ever when I heard her talking.
I loved her, and I believe every bit of it. I think she is just an incredibly authentic individual, except for the earrings. They had to come off the moment those lights went out. It was really, they were intense. Speaking of which,
imagine if she went with the whole solar system as opposed to just Saturn.
Exactly. Speaking of the lights going out, did you see the part where the young couple came up?
Oh, it was great.
The guy.
There were two super sweet moments. One was that she was performing in front of her 9-year-old son for the first time.
Yeah. And her ex-husband there with the little
And her
boy.
ex-husband was there as well. But then Quentin and Ashley.
Yes.
And the backstory, as we understand it, is Ashley's a vegan chef. She had just landed her first big catering gig.
Uh-huh.
Quentin wants to celebrate with her. They have an all-day picnic and they're hanging out and they're being the couple in love on this beautiful day in LA. And he said he's got a huge surprise, but you got to play along. This is all set up with Adele's people. We don't know how the connection was made, but it was made.
Adele is sort of famous for, at her concerts, people getting engaged at concerts. Right. So apparently they somehow, it's a big, long story, I think, how they got him to reach out. And that was the way they matched up. But yeah, she had on blinders. No, not blinders. What do you call them?
Blindfold. Yeah.
Blindfold.
Blinders would be
horse.
Racehorse. But she had the blindfold on. He carefully walks her out.
Oh, and noise canceling headphones, so she couldn't hear anything else.
And she's going, what are we doing? What are you doing? Where am I?
And all the lights were off on the stage and around the observatory, and this crowd of 300, mostly superstars. And
and he takes the blindfold off her. She looks around. He's dropped to a knee at that point.
Uh-huh.
He proposes. And I think my favorite part was when he goes, you've been so patient with me. And she's crying her eyes out. And she goes, I've been your girlfriend for so long.
7 years.
Yeah.
Girlfriend for so long.
Hello, babe.
Oh my God.
Will you marry me, little Ashley?
In real
life.
Yeah.
Yes?
So the good news is she said yes. And then Adele sang Feel My Love to both of them.
Yeah. It was precious. And it was funny because she took the blindfold off and she went, who are all these people? And then she saw Lizzo and went, and then then the light goes on and there's Adele. I can't imagine. I mean, it's amazing she didn't have a heart attack.
Right. It's crazy.
I mean, it's so surreal. It's like, am I like dreaming? What's this deal? It was so much fun.
So the new Adele album 30, she's 33, by the way.
Yes.
But the new Adele album 30 dropped this week. And she has a concert in London and there will be a tour, but I'm glad she's back. Yeah. And I remember vividly the first time I saw her, well, not so vividly because I was in that sort of half asleep, half awake state. I was falling asleep on my couch watching Letterman.
Right.
And I hear this incredible voice.
Oh, I know.
And it's this person I'd never heard of, Adele, singing Rolling in the Deep. And I'm going, who is that?
What is that? Yeah,
it was. She ate Aretha Franklin. I mean, look at the voice; it's unbelievable.
I know. She's like this generation's Barbara Streisand.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is somebody who will always be here and will always be an icon. And she conducts herself so beautifully because she is at the same time, she's incredibly elegant. She's incredibly authentic and she's a character. And I love that about her.
Yeah, same thing. Now, for all that good news, there is some bad celebrity news. At least I think it's bad celebrity news. My opinion is if you're involved in a horrific tragedy tragedy where people die, you don't go to a strip club the next day, but that's just me.
There is that. What's
the story here?
Drake, was involved in the Astro World tragedy. Now 10 dead, I guess, from that. Is it 10? Yeah, it's 10 as of earlier in the week. And he was on stage. He's named in a couple of the lawsuits that have been filed, but the very next night went to this big strip joint. And now the people there have admitted, you see pictures from that night, and the floor is completely covered in money. And they say that he has spent on their exotic dancers $1 million.
That's a lot.
That's a whole lot. I wonder if it's all in $1 bills.
I seriously doubt that it is. Now,
no, you need a truck.
I will say this, and obviously I don't know this from personal experience, but at every table in every adult dance club in America, there's one guy who thinks he's going to take one of the girls home, that she somehow thinks he's special.
Yeah.
And at $1 million.
And she makes eyes at him. She's looking at him like he is.
Right. Not that she's working, but at $1 million, you're still not winning that argument. So I don't know. It seems like a really bad profile to put up. I mean, there's going to be civil lawsuits and all that, but obviously that wasn't his concern. He's Drake.
Yeah. And now they know that he can throw away $1 million. I wonder if that ups the lawsuits.
The Deep Six, number 2.
Item number 2, you told me last time we did the Deep Six, we were talking about Elon Musk, poll where he decided, I'll pay my taxes if Twitter says I should. But he threw something out this weekend about Bernie Sanders.
Well, he was responding. Bernie Sanders tweeted, "We must demand that the extremely wealthy pay their fair share, period." And Elon Musk replied, "I keep forgetting that you're still alive."
Wow.
He's snarky.
Yeah, a little nasty. And
he's just, they're all nasty. It's just the way it goes, I think there's just a lot of nastiness in our society. But what you hope is that you're funnier than you are nasty. And that was kind of funny.
Yeah. And there's an extension to the Elon update, because we always like to do an Elon update. And that is this. Joe Rogan, who, of course, we know best is Aaron Rodgers' doctor.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers quarterback, who said he consulted Joe Rogan.
Right.
Joe Rogan announced last week in some form that he can perform fellatio on himself. And
he said he could do it to himself, or he said
yes.
Elon Musk could.
Yes. Well, yeah, there you go. But as the old joke goes, why would you leave the house then? But he threw that out there, which makes it even crazier that anyone would trust Joe Rogan with anything.
Because what he's doing in his spare time.
But Elon Musk, of course, was famous for smoking weed with Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan's podcast. So
yep.
Where this is honestly, this is why I continue to stay away from Tesla stock, is because Elon Musk to me is such a wild card. I think if he does finally go off the deep end, the stock goes with it, because he's a one-man band. There's that reason, and also the fact that it's $1,000 a share. Those are the two reasons
right.
that I'm not buying Tesla stock.
What's interesting is he loves to play with this stuff. I don't know if you remember May, April, somewhere in the spring, the Bitcoin and all of the cryptocurrency went way up, because he was talking about that, that Tesla had bought into that and would now accept Bitcoin. And then a few weeks later, he was joking about it. He was on Saturday Night Live, and he was joking about, what a scam cryptocurrency was, and the market just tanked. Now, of course, it's been way back up in the last few weeks. So, but it's almost like he loves to throw stuff out there on Twitter and see what happens, see how everybody responds. And he's actually pretty good at getting attention.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, Mental Floss, which is an entertaining read if you've got some time and you're not already down the YouTube rabbit hole. Mental Floss has done a calculator, if you will, that will tell you how many seconds it would take for Elon Musk to earn your net worth.
Really?
So you can estimate your net worth, put it in, and figure out how long it will take. And what we'll do is we'll put the link to that calculator in the show notes for this episode of the Deep Six.
Love
So
it.
you can be as depressed as I was when I found out.
I love it. That's so great.
All right, moving on. There is a lot of bitchy old people lately. And
Oh, yeah, right.
remember we were talking about the Katie Couric book?
Katie Couric, suddenly, yeah, when everything's I'm the girl next door and I love everybody and I love you and I love the people I work with. And then suddenly you get to a certain point in life and you think, screw all of you.
Right.
I could have done this without you. And that's what her book is based on. But there's more, right?
Yeah, Scottie Pippen is a very famous basketball player. And if you're not a fan of sports or the NBA, I'm sure you still know the name.
Yes.
He was Michael Jordan's wingman.
Right.
The Chicago Bulls of the 90s won 6 titles. Michael Jordan is inarguably the greatest of all time. LeBron is right there with him. I know you can have that argument. I choose not to because I have a life. But I was lucky to watch Michael play live in Chicago. I know him from a distance. I see him on a golf course occasionally, that kind of thing. And he is what you saw in that documentary on ESPN last year. And Scotty was very upset about it. He's always upset about the money. So the short version of this is Scotty signed a contract late in his career. And I think this was covered in the documentary. But Scotty signed a contract that was a lot less than he should have signed for because he wanted the deal. He's got a lot of brothers and sisters that he was paying for. He's got all of that.
Mhm.
But in the last dance, it became clear that he was very bitter about the fact that he didn't make all the money he should make. Michael was paid $10 million for the last dance as an executive producer. He
Right.
gave all that money away to a charity. Scotty doesn't seem to bring that up in his book. His book's called Unguarded. And in the book, he trashes Michael. He says Michael's the worst thing that ever happened to basketball, which is insane. And after 10 years ago, asking Michael to induct him into the Basketball Hall of Fame, cherishing his friendship and saying all those things, he now is saying he's a horrible person and he's trashed their relationship forever.
Katie Couric syndrome. Yeah.
What's the upside?
I don't know for either one of them or for anybody that does that kind of thing. I think there is a bitterness in people. Maybe it's a lack of self-confidence. Maybe they get to a point in life and they look and say, oh my God, is this all there is? And they're mad that little nugget of satisfaction that comes with a life well lived has eluded them. And maybe that's what that's about. They're gonna strike out because they believe that somebody somewhere screwed them out of that nugget of satisfaction with their life. I don't know. It's bizarre. I don't understand how people
It's incredibly short-sighted. And we got some of this in music going on as well.
Oh, yeah.
The great bluesman Robert Cray says he is done with his 30-plus year friendship with Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton, who has now become one of the more famous anti-vaxxers,
Right.
came out with a public statement equating vaccine mandates with slavery. Well, Robert Cray is black, was black, still black, and he took offense to that.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Yeah. So Cray says, I don't need it. I don't need him in my life. I'm done with it. And then did you see what Roger Daltrey said about the Rolling Stones?
What did he say about the Stones?
He just wrote them off. He said they're a bad bar band.
Well, it's kind of like Paul McCartney said they were just, what did he call them? Just a cover band?
Yeah, they said more of a cover band and a blues band. We had
that's it. Yeah.
We had a wider footprint or something along those lines.
That's
and
right.
Paul wasn't so negative, but Roger Daltrey, Mick Jagger, what's the upside?
Yeah.
You know, Mick Jagger's not going to lose any money. People aren't going to stop buying tickets because Roger Daltrey doesn't like him. Frankly, I hate The Who. I've never liked The Who. I think The Who sucks. I've always been a Stones guy. So I don't get it. I don't get how any of these cranky old people, do they need more fiber? Do they need, do they need to see their doctors? There's a lot of bitchy old people out there.
Prune juice.
Yeah.
Phil Collins even went after Paul McCartney. Saying
is that right?
Yeah. This was a couple of years ago, saying what an ass he is and how full of himself. And and again, it's all based on you thinking that someone has somehow shown a brighter light than you and it pisses you off. You're not happy with your level of success, that there's somebody. And you know what? The bottom line is there will always be somebody who shines a little brighter than each of us. And we should congratulate them because that gives us something to aim for. But that's not how some people see it.
Yeah,
So,
I don't get it. That's call your therapist.
The Deep Six. Number 4.
We've reached a point here on the Deep Six with story number 4 that you're now going to teach us about relationships. What do you have to teach us, Professor?
Well, there was some research done, and one of the things that they discovered was that they looked at the most common issues that couples experienced when it comes to breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And they found that men actually suffer more when their relationship takes a turn for the worse. They are more emotional, more emotionally racked with pain and upset than women are. And they think that it has to do with the fact that men don't discuss their heartbreak the way women can. So women go out there and they're like, oh, this guy's such a jerk. And your friends go, he doesn't deserve you. You're the best. You're so sexy and hot and cute. You know how many guys would want you? And you go, yeah, that's right. And you move on. Guys, I mean, have you ever had a friend of yours come up to you and go, oh, I'm so heartbroken. Why did she leave me? And guys are more apt to say, probably because you got a small
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right? Yeah. Now, here's how it works with men. Men break up and they suffer and they stalk women. And I don't mean that in a crime-ridden way.
You're right.
They just try to figure out how to get it back because
They're looking on social media at what she's doing. And
we're really slow on the uptake. And by the time we realize there's a problem, you've already got to the point where you flip the switch.
Yep, I'm done.
Where you've already boxed up our stuff, wishing us well, and you're moving on. Where we're only willing to accept that it's over if you're willing to join the convent down the street and never be with another man again. And as far as relating to other men goes, I can tell you, I've been a man most of my life. And I don't have, and I, I'm a sensitive guy. I'm more than willing to listen to my friends and all that. But even in the most sensitive male cases, a guy doesn't go, oh man, I'm really hurting inside. Can you help me just talk this out so we can get to the core of this? No, it doesn't work that way.
Hold my hand while we have some Haagen-Dazs together.
Yeah, it does. It just doesn't. It doesn't work that way. So I totally get that. I totally buy into that. And that's why you need your dog, because your dog will always be there for you. And you're here to tell us we could take better care of them, right?
Yeah. The one thing that a lot of people are seeing is, and I think a lot of it has to do with during the pandemic, we've been spending a lot of time with our dogs and cats and our animals. And so we're noticing things. And one thing we're noticing is that anxiety can be a real issue for dogs in particular. They don't respond well. And we all know they don't like fireworks. Usually they don't like thunder and lightning, that kind of thing. But they did a study and they found that there are a lot more, especially noises, that can really trigger anxiety and upset in your dog. They say the noises coming from a vacuum, a smoke detector, even a microwave can trigger anxiety. Specifically, they say high frequency intermittent noises. So, like if you don't change the battery in your smoke detector, and every once in a while it's like a beep and you go, oh God. Well, the dog, it's like making the hair stand up on their back. And they said actually more than a low frequency continuous noise. They don't mind the low frequency continuous noise nearly as much. It's that kind of surprise, quick hit noise that freaks them out. I'm kind of with them on that. Maybe I'm part dog. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Now, I do know my son and daughter-in-law, their dog is freaked out by the Roomba. And I don't have a Roomba. Does the Roomba squeak? Does it make funny noises?
I maybe I don't have one either, but I do know that sometimes it has to do, like my dog used to run in circles around the pool when the robot vacuum would be moving around and bark her head off just around and around and around and bark at that. So sometimes it could be because, wait, I don't see a human, one of my humans attached to it, but it's walking around like it owns the place. And maybe that's part of it too.
Well, we always think about, fireworks and thunderstorms and things like that. And somebody a long time ago invented this thunder shirt for dogs.
Yeah.
Where you can put a dog, like a shirt that hugs them.
Right.
And it's been proven scientifically that people generally respond to that in the same way. Personally, if you put something heavy on me, I feel like I'm trapped in a tunnel and I must get out.
And I scream. It's my anxiety goes way up if I'm trapped. I know. Although it's funny, I just sent my pup in for to be spayed. And she's a wild woman. I mean, she bounces around. And the big fear is that they break open the stitches and all kinds of stuff comes pouring out. So obviously you don't want that to happen. Maybe what I need is a dog thunder shirt, because that will not only calm her, but hold her tight. So those stitches won't pop. Maybe that's what I need.
Yeah. And short of that, just gently apply duct tape, until you get the shirt.
Around and around and around. No, I'm thinking I'm either going to teach her to play chess so she can concentrate, or maybe do a little doggy reading. And she's going to have that cone of shame on for a few days, so that she can't lick those parts. But
Joe Rogan could.
He could teach her to do, lick them.
Yeah.
I thought you meant teach her chess.
Yeah. No, Joe Rogan could work that out even with the cone.
That's right.
The Deep Six, number 5.
Story number 5. We need to address COVID because we have some good COVID news. But before we do that, the little kiddos are getting the shots. That's the good news.
Yes.
But I saw Dr. Fauci this past weekend, CBS Sunday Morning. Great show with Jane Pauley.
But great show.
And Fauci was on with Ted Koppel as their senior correspondent now. And,
can I just say one thing about Dr. Fauci?
Sure.
Is he like Benjamin Button? He looks like he's younger than he looked a year ago.
Right. And with the stress he's under, how's that possible?
And 81 years old. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think he's got what do you think? I mean, you
think he's got the serum? He's got the super secret serum?
I wanted you to say it, not me. I don't want to accuse Dr. Fauci of anything, but yeah, there's
Fauci, share the serum. Come on, man.
Come on. Either that or it's the fact that he runs 5 miles a day. And I'm not sure I'm running 5 miles a day just to look a couple years younger.
No, but I would be willing to watch him do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, here's what I will say about Fauci. We don't, we can't repay him. He doesn't owe us anything. The work he's done so far and the work he's done for years, he doesn't owe us a thing. And yet he continues to do it. And, and I know you feel the same way. We owe him a gigantic thank you for everything he's done.
You're the president of his fan club. You really are.
Well, he's faced death threats.
Yeah.
He has been separated from his family. And he's 1 years old in a couple of days. He doesn't need it. And yet at the end of the interview, he said, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. As long as I can still do this work, I'm going to do it.
It is pretty amazing. And he's got work ahead of him. He was talking this recently also about the fact that, I saw this study that said 3 out of 5 American households will be asking people not to show up for Thanksgiving or Christmas, parties or festivities if they haven't been vaccinated. That's a big number.
That is a big number. Yeah.
And it gets even more intense over in Europe, where they have a tremendous outbreak going on. In Austria, they have told everyone who hasn't been vaccinated to go into lockdown. They can't leave their house because they are so desperate to stop the spread. And don't get the vaccine, but you're not leaving the house.
Yeah, it's not about your freedom. It's about people not dying.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty wild.
I just don't understand the separation of common sense, or the lack of common sense. But that brings up an important point with Thanksgiving coming up and with the COVID topic. There's an opportunity this year, and this is your last chance to do this, but there's an opportunity this year to eliminate the one relative that always starts the fights that nobody really wants to invite, but has to. So if
how do you do that?
Well, that's probably the person that refuses to get the vaccine.
Yeah, but what if they do have the vaccine, but they are still incredibly annoying? Then what do you do?
I think maybe you say,
I don't have the vaccine.
Yeah, I think maybe you say,
tell them that.
Yeah, we got to be careful. Grandma, is coming. It would come over. We got to be careful. We got to do it you invite everybody over because everybody feels the same way. They don't want Bob to come.
Right.
And, maybe you send some turkey to Bob so he doesn't feel bad, and let Bob be miserable and sit in his own stew. And meanwhile, you have somebody in shifts monitor the front driveway to make sure Bob doesn't pull in by surprise, so you can turn off the lights and hide. I'm just saying that's the high road.
I was going to say,
that's the above board way to handle this, don't you think?
Yeah. Turn off the lights. Everybody get under the bed.
And finally, item number 6 for the holidays, you do a podcast, which, to cut to the chase, it's booze related. What's it called?
Thank you. It's called News on the Rocks.
News on the Rocks.
Yes.
And that's at pattysteele.com.
It is pattysteele.com, although I haven't posted lately. So feel free to go back and browse through past episodes, new ones soon to come.
Yeah. And this is also where you post our episodes of the Deep Six. And
exactly.
you can also find them at cochranshow.com. The reason I bring up booze, however, is that the people at Arby's are bringing you a holiday booze that I would assume, because you're a connoisseur, you're going to have to sample on your show.
Okay.
And this is curly fry flavored vodka.
What? Ooh,
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, you're really putting me out there.
That's the right response.
We do drink on the show, but wow. Okay.
Curly fry flavored vodka.
I gotta tell you, there's so many different things to drink out there now. We're all obsessed with like these flavored vodkas and these different bourbons. But what's funny is like I've had Grey Goose Essences does a strawberry and lemongrass that's to die for. Smirnoff does strawberry and rose. Rose is big on these. Kettle One does what they call botanicals. It's really vodka, but it's a little bit lower alcohol with peach and orange blossom. And also another one with grapefruit and rose, and another one with mint and cucumber. And the reason I like all of those is I don't like sweet drinks, and none of those have any sugar in them. They are just the pure essences of either the fruit or in the rose's case, the flower. And but there's billions of them now. There's blueberry, there's watermelon, there's curly fry. I mean, I don't know when it's all going to stop.
Yeah, to me, Arby's would do more of a favor if they would give you pairings with wines.
Right.
Like what goes with the beef and cheddar? Is that a red or a white?
Right. Exactly. Just go with the basics for the drink. I know. I've done actually a couple of my News on the Rocks podcasts have been like pairings of wine with chocolates. And then I did another chocolates with rum, different rums. And those are always really fun. So pairings are a great idea. Let's get back to Arby's.
Yeah, this is why we bring you the Deep Six, so we can help you, not just for the holidays, but for every day.
Yeah, charitable giving.
If we don't talk to you before Thanksgiving, we hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and we hope you have find time to be grateful for all the good things in your life. We need some positivity.
Can I just tell you, speaking of positivity, how much I loved your Abraham Lincoln podcasts?
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, really, really wonderful. I'm a huge Lincoln fan, so wanted to bring that up.
Parts 1 and 2 from the Lincoln Museum, and you are a Lincoln nut. If Lincoln were still alive, you'd be a groupie chasing him around America.
Maybe he'd be chasing me. Did you ever think of that?
That's a great point. Great point. I retract my point. Thank you for listening. This is The Deep Six.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for listening. The Deep Six. Subscribe, rate, follow, or review at pattysteele.com or cochranshow.com.
Now I'm live from my office. It's my friend David Hochberg from Team Hochberg. So, David, every time I talk to somebody who's hesitant about connecting with Team Hochberg, it's not about Team Hochberg. It's about, I don't even know how to get all the paperwork together. I don't know what I'm going to need. I'd just rather not think about it. That's a big hurdle people need to get over, and it's the smallest of hurdles in reality.
Yeah, it really is, because nowadays it's never been simpler. Really, and more than 50% of the loans that we're doing now, we're getting appraisal waivers.
This is not something you need to stress over. This is something
it's not that deep. Right?
No, and this is something if you do the minutes of work and get Hochberg and Team Hochberg what they need, they do the heavy lifting, they do the work, and you're going to save a bunch of money. It seems pretty it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. I mean, we're talking money. It either makes sense or doesn't make sense. And I think we tell more listeners to not do anything because what they have is great. And there's no reason to do anything. Or, okay, you know what? You only need $4 or $5 grand and you got a great rate. Don't do a cash out refinance that this other lender's telling you. Just get a line of credit and we'll hook them up with our contact over at BMO Harris and they'll pop a HELOC out against their home. So we always look out for the borrower, Steve, as you know, all these years. If it makes sense, we do it. If it doesn't make sense, we'll be the first one to recommend not doing it.
It's David Hochberg, Team Hochberg. You get it started. They'll finish it off. 855-56-DAVID, 56david.com.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Support the show by subscribing wherever you're listening and by telling your friends about it. Follow Steve on all social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And make sure you check out this episode's show notes for relevant information discussed during the conversations. You can also email the show directly at thecochranshow@gmail.com with any questions or comments. And that's the best place to tell us about your favorite nonprofit so we can make sure we mention them on the next episode. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event. And occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.